The International Criminal Court has rejected requests to open prosecutions against President Paul Biya on crimes against humanity in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. Stay tuned for more details. Threats and prohibition of trespassing each other's territorial boundaries are measure clauses arrived at during the yesterday accord between Cameroon and Equatorial Guinea to iron out the ageless border dispute. We will bring to you the historic dispute between both countries. The reconstruction budget has been under examination in an interministerial meeting today in Yaoundé, as well as the activities of humanitarian organizations. Dr. Nick Ngwanyam has special reactions in this newscast. Those are top stories. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining the English newscast on Spectrum Television. Prime Minister, Head of Government, Chief Dr. Joseph Dion Gute has presided over an interministerial meeting on the intervention of national and international organizations in the crisis-hit zones. The coordination of humanitarian response has come under examination in this meeting. This was also an avenue to mobilize financial support for the presidential plan. The presidential plan requires 89.9 billion CFA francs for the first phase of work to begin. 10% of the close to 90 billion CFA francs has been made available to the UN, which is also part of this plan. The meeting also assessed the channeling of humanitarian aid to the crisis-hit northwest and southwest region. The Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanganji, has insisted on the activities of humanitarian activities to be clear so that many misunderstandings should not be pronounced on their transactions, and so it should be transparent. Dr. Nick Ngwanyam has called on the government of Cameroon to review the reconstruction and development plan of the head of state for better success. Speaking to our reporter Peter Nsosier on Hard Talk, the social critic argues that Minister Paul Tassong, the national coordinator, must have his ears on the ground.
Issues surrounding the Anglophone crisis. The national coordinator for the reconstruction and development of the two regions just rounded off a 2-week sensitization and awareness tour. You have been observing that particular move by Minister Paul Tassong. What appraisal do you make of it?
Well, I'm glad that it's just an awareness and sensitization tour, and I would hope that he was sensitizing people and also had his ear to the ground and getting feedback. And if he was listening very carefully, they would have told him that the strategies that the government want to use are, although those strategies are wrong and they need to be modified. You know, we have this kind of tendency where things come from above and they are spoon-fed to people down at the grassroots. And it has to be a bottom-up approach. If everything keeps coming from the top and falling on people like rain, sometimes you don't realize where the shoe really pinches and you make some huge mistakes. And it was a sensitization tour. He said that they are going to start constructing from where there is no problems or whatever and so on. But as you have heard me say before, we need to rethink the strategy, and the strategy that the government is using for reconstruction has to be rethought very carefully. Otherwise, it will yield no fruit.
And on to this, our top story, defense and cross-border security between Cameroon and Equatorial Guinea is now guided under the agreement of yesterday. Cameroon's delegation was led by Cameroon's Minister of Defense at the presidency, Joseph Betia Somo, as well as Leandro Bikali of Equatorial Guinea. According to the terms of the freshly signed accord, both countries are prohibited from interfering in each other's affairs. Again, both countries are prohibited from using force for peaceful resolution of the conflict. Both countries stressed on the willingness to strengthen collaborations with the framework of the modalities put in place. Also, the importance of security forces to protect the Gulf of Guinea, particularly in the border areas. Both countries had equally discussed on the development of cooperation between them. Peaceful settlement of dispute and no use of force were the final notes that defined this reunion. And the following report brings to you the historic border conflict between Cameroon and Equatorial Guinea. Defining the borders has been a call for concern, as many businessmen and women plying their trade around the area have been attacked by neighboring Equatorial Guinean traders who threaten to build a wall to separate both countries. Cameroon and Equatorial Guinea are currently on talks to jointly map out a disputed border area after skirmishes between the two troops and businessmen plying their trade around the boundary. In 2017, Equatorial Guinea had raised concerns about 30 armed men from Chad, Central African Republic, who planned to intrude and destabilize their government, and Cameroon at that time had claimed to have arrested 40 armed men but gave no details. This prompted Equatorial Guinea to seal her margins, complaining of security threats with Cameroon, but the crisis persisted. Both countries decided to create markets around the borders and instructed the military not to tolerate any unlawful intrusion. Things escalated between the country of Obiangema as Equatorial Guinea began to erect a wall along the 183-kilometer border as the military men crossed into River Thames and erected milestones in the town of Kiosi, sparking condemnation from Cameroon. Cameroon's Army Chief René-Claude Meka visited the spot just to see an expansionist ambition of neighboring Equatorial Guinea, accusing Cameroon of permitting terrorists to invade their land. Cameroon and Equatorial Guinea military officials and experts have met in Cameroon's capital Yaoundé to discuss how to see border tensions end between both countries. This important bilateral meeting shall also essentially delve into mutual collaboration modalities and security actions between both territories. Joseph Betty Asomo, Minister of Defense, says experts will agree on the modalities and finalize a definite way out of the crisis. Officials have stressed on diplomatic channels as a way to peacefully resolve tensions along the 180 kilometers border. The International Criminal Court has turned down a request to begin prosecutions against the head of state, President Paul Biya, for alleged crimes against humanity in the northwest and southwest regions of the country. Reacting to a request from Lionel Betek-Kome, who filed the complaint, the court says the preconditions have not been met to make a move on Cameroon, as Peter Nsosye tells us in the following report.
In the statement, Mark Dillon, head of the Information and Evidence Unit at the Office of the ICC Prosecutor, highlights that the International Criminal Court cannot open investigations on President Paul Biya over war crimes and crimes against humanity in the northwest and southwest regions, as filed by Lionel Betek-Kome, because the information provided does not meet the preconditions for an investigation. He argues that the International Criminal Court is governed by the Rome Statutes, which gives the court a specific and carefully defined jurisdiction and mandate. The court in this case can only exercise jurisdiction under three conditions: that jurisdiction has been accepted by the state in whose territory the crime has been committed, that jurisdiction has been accepted by the state of which the accused person is a national, or the situation is referred to the prosecutor by the Security Council acting under Chapter 7 of the United Nations Charter. It has also been revealed that the allegations fall outside the court's jurisdiction, but it may be reconsidered if new facts or evidence provide a reasonable basis to believe that the allegations fall within the jurisdiction of the.
And staff from Cameco, staff of the Cameroon Airlines corporations are revendicating for their salaries to be paid in the midst of instructions dished out by the head of state for the immediate relaunch of activities. John Paul Sama looks at some of these proposals in the upcoming report.
The note, which comes with instructions to rehabilitate the two Boeing 737 and acquire others for short-distance travel, also announces a mass reduction of salaries and the rationalization of human resources by the Director General. But staff of this air transport agency are revendicating certain unpaid bonuses.
Les travailleurs de Camerco ne revendiquent qu'une seule chose, ils veulent le travail. Donc, ils veulent le travail, et ce travail, donc...
Workers of Camerco are fighting for one thing, which is their job. They want work, and there is a problem with salaries which have not been paid. There is also a problem with health insurance which has not been paid, as well as those on retirement who haven't yet gotten their benefits. Some board decisions have not been respected, like the reintegration of workers who were illegally suspended.
Le conseil d'administration demande au directeur général de réintégrer les travailleurs qui ont illégalement été suspendus par mesure conservatoire, et la direction générale refuse de s'exécuter.
The Ministry of Finance has also been called upon to liquidate Camer and transfer all resources to Camerco. The head of state in this communique also adds that all measures be taken to respect the September 11, 2006 decree, which carries the privatization of the airline by 51%, as well as putting in place a reconstruction and development plan for the company.
And let's now look at theft on mobile money. Recurrent theft on mobile money is a call for concern nowadays as more vulnerable persons fall prey to many fraudsters. City dwellers in the economic capital have decried this phenomenon, which is fast gaining ground in the littoral region. Crystal Asexwele with more.
In today's world, much of internet traffic is from mobile devices. This has made mobile money users a target for mobile scams. These outlaws are evolving to get smarter at tricking their targets into giving up access to their mobile money informations, which can be a potential catastrophe once you fall prey to their tricks. This phenomenon is fast gaining ground in our society. Today, in Douala, economic capital of Cameroon, we went downtown and gathered some reactions from victims.
Bon, le message disait que lors de ma consommation de l'année qui précédait, dans l'année 2019,
the message states that in the course of my previous consumption in 2019, I incurred a bonus and have to call a private number and not the customer service, and will be instructed on how to get into possession of my bonus. Since I am a worker of the mobile telephony company, I am aware of this kind of scam. I simply deleted the messages and didn't take it into consideration.
Moi, connaissant cette arnaque-là, moi, j'ai juste simplement supprimé ce message. Je n'ai pas pris cela en considération.
I was told I have a mail at the airport and I need to send 50,000 francs to get in possession. The caller insisted. I started calling him names and he ended up hanging up. These scammers usually present themselves in many forms. They mislead their targets with enticing offers that sound too good to be true. Mobile money scam is one of the most dangerous threats on the internet landscape. However, mobile operators have also created platforms to handle these issues, as explained by this mobile operator partner. Most often, these clients come complaining to us. We send them to the mobile telephony operator scam services, which handles exclusively cases of scam. Although mobile money scam is on the rise, keep yourself protected by being smart on the actions you perform on your mobile phone.
And on to this sad note, an accident between Garoua and Gaoundéré has claimed the life of CPDM Honorable Aruna Bugwe, who was part of the newly elected resulting from the legislative elections of February 9, 2020 on behalf of the 10th legislature of the National Assembly. He died today. He leaves behind family, friends and colleagues to mourn him. And on our international page, due to the rise of COVID-19 cases, Los Angeles Mayor Eric Goretti announced that he is considering another strict lockdown just few weeks after the metropolis started to ease restrictions. In state prisons, the problem has gotten so bad, California officials are considering the release of about 8,000 prisoners convicted of minor offenses. Details with the VOA.
California continues to be one of the coronavirus hotbeds with around 400,000 confirmed cases. The situation is particularly grim inside state prisons. To ease the problem, officials say they're looking at releasing 8,000 prisoners convicted of minor offenses with fewer than 180 days left on to serve. Those over 30 who have health problems will be freed first. About 3,000 California inmates have already tested positive for COVID-19. At least 10 people have died. Critics say inmate transfers prompted the rapid spread of the virus in prisons. Since then, state has replaced its top medical examiner for prisons. Former inmates share their experience in prison during the pandemic.
Scary, dangerous, uncomfortable, unpredictable.
The inmates' relatives and close ones are organizing protests near prison walls.
They're dying in there. They're dying.
Free them all.
Free my baby.
Human rights activists say the situation at the San Quentin prison is no surprise.
San Quentin is a very old, antiquated prison. It has a single ventilation system that recirculates air, so it's not a surprise to any of us. Prisons are not meant to be social distance areas.
Vanessa Nelson Sloan is co-founder and director of an organization that helps inmates.
I think, in my considered opinion, would help the most, that is, get every single staff member to wear the masks that they have been provided. Prisoners are required to wear masks. The prisoners can be given a disciplinary violation if they don't. The guards are another situation. That, I think, would be the most important thing we could do in all the prisons right now.
The decision to release prisoners is welcomed at the Life Support Alliance, but many here worry that many ex-inmates will have nowhere to go. And since the state's homeless shelters are packed, that makes them risky places to be as well during the pandemic. For Angelina Bagdasaran in Los Angeles, California, Anna Rice, VOA News.
And in sports, over 4 months now, professional football players in Cameroon have been unable to play football. However, some of them have devised strategies to remain fit during this period. Stanley Echebe is a professional football player in Cameroon. Let's listen to him.
You know, things are very difficult since the coronavirus started. After a long period of 3 months without playing, we tried to cope with friends, doing friendly games with other different groups of gym team to try to keep up with our fitness, because now things are not easy. The most difficult issue is about the situation of transportation. You'll be playing in Makepe today, tomorrow in Bonamosadi, tomorrow in Staticam. Sometimes traveling me to go to play in Southwest, so that to try to make the gym team being fit to withstand for our body. No, for the moment I'm training individually. Particularly I'm training individually. I was supposed to start with Coach Towa, but I don't have too much time. With this moment I'm taking a bit of time with my family. I train individually, and then Wednesday and Fridays I come in Makepe to play with friends. Individual training and a team training is two different things. You see, with individual training there's no pressure. You try to do things just on your own. With group training where there's a coach and there are the teammates, you know you are training for a competition. For the moment now, there's no competition in front. There's nothing. We don't know when the league will be starting. So I can't just boast myself, giving myself at 100%, because I can have a problem in front of me that the league will be starting maybe on June, maybe on July, maybe on May, maybe on January 2021. So for the moment, I'm just training little to try to keep up with my fitness. You know, things are very difficult since the coronavirus started.
Thanks for watching the 6 p.m. newscast on Spectrum Television. That was a package for tonight's edition of the news. Stay tuned to the French newscast at 8 p.m. coming up with René Narcisse Moto. Good night.